So the second and third rounds of the NFL draft has concluded, and it was a roller coaster ride for your boy. I'm not gonna lie. I've said all offseason long that the Ravens should try something different this offseason, and when I said that, I was not expecting what happened tonight. As we all sat back and watched the draft unfold, waiting to see who would be available when the Ravens picked at 59, we didn't know that EDC, Steve Bisciotti, and John Harbaugh were actually going to do it. The Ravens went out and drafted edge linebacker Mike Green from Marshall University. And to many in the draft, he was the second or third best pass rusher in the entire draft. There was some off the field issues that had him sliding down to the second round. And we all thought, with the Ravens having that zero tolerance policy that they said that they really didn't have, that they had but they don't have anymore, no one thought that the Ravens would actually put that pick in. I personally thought that the Ravens were going to draft a cornerback, but they went and got this edge guy. They went and got a guy who quite possibly can create pressure on his own. Yes, as we've heard all offseason long, the Ravens were second in the league in sacks, but they had some of the lowest pressure rate amongst the league. So having a guy in there that can create on his own without being schemed up, a guy that can win one-on-ones, will prove to be quite useful come playoff time. Because once the playoff starts and we can't generate that pressure, that is a lot of the reasons that the Ravens have been held back, because schematically other teams are counteracting what we're doing. But now the Ravens are bringing in a guy, checkered past and all, who last season balled out. He had 17 sacks and 22 and a half tackles for loss. It's a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I don't care what level you play at. I don't care who your opponents are. Because every year you have guys playing up against lesser opponents and lesser conferences, and they do not put up these numbers. So everything else aside, I think the Ravens got a player. I think this is a turning point in the organization where they're saying, listen, we're putting some things aside and we're going all in to win an NFL championship. We are trying to go all in to win a Super Bowl. And we've said this all along, you need some dogs. Now, we said we needed some guys that had a little chip on their shoulder, maybe an arrest or something, but we didn't expect for this to happen. But I will say, looking at Mike Green, he has a mean streak. He has a nasty side that the Ravens have been missing for quite some time. And this former wide receiver turned edge might be that guy. I was a tad bit disappointed when the Ravens didn't go offense, especially on the O-line. But when I looked at his tape, I'm like, I see the possibilities. I see where this can go. I see what the Ravens are trying to do. Now, let me sit back and wait for them to pick at 91. And this is going to determine how I actually start to feel about this draft, how I start to feel that everything else is going to unfold. So in the first two rounds, the Ravens got that third safety that they coveted. They went and got an edge rusher to put pressure on the quarterback, and we just sat back and waited and watched for the picks to fall to see where the Ravens would go when they hit pick 91. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm sitting back like, please trade up. Trade up to the guy you want. Trade up, trade up, trade up. And the closer that we got to the picks, I'm sitting here thinking, man, we are a few picks away from Wyatt Milam. Just a few picks away. But as in Ravens fashions throughout the history of what we do, the sit and wait approach, which had me pissed, I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt the Ravens should use one of those 1,262 six-round picks and move up some spots to procure the guy that they actually wanted. That's if they wanted Milam, but I thought that he may have been the best fit at the time to come in and play guard, maybe be that backup tackle if we needed him to be. And lo and behold, at pick 89, the Jacksonville Jaguars took that guy, and I was not happy at all. I was cursing from here to Howard County, because this happens to be a trend. We always sit back and wait and hope that guys fall to us in a spot instead of going up and getting the guys and filling those needs of position that we truly could use. And then after Milam was gone, I figured, you know what, the Ravens are probably going to get a cornerback, maybe a D tackle. I honestly thought that the Ravens and Eric DeCosta were going to go defense on 3 straight picks. But then as I sat there and they announced the pick, I saw that the Ravens went out and got Emory Jones Jr., the tackle from Louisiana State University. Now they have him listed as a guard, but for me, great. Play him at guard, put him in competition with Andrew Voorhees, and he can possibly play tackle if one of our tackles goes down. So that solves one need. So I can possibly see where Eric DeCosta is going with this draft, and the fact that they went out and got a guy that plays in the SEC. He has a pedigree of playing against some of the top pass rushers that have gone in the past few drafts. He's played against some of the highest level competition and has thrived. He is a little bit raw, I'm not gonna lie, but he can develop. He's a guy that's a mauler. He has a nasty streak, and that's one thing that I'm liking about the Ravens in their last 2 picks. They're getting guys with chips. They're getting guys with attitudes, and this may be the beginning of no more of that goody two shoes, oh shucks, we'll get them next time mentality. We're getting guys that want to go out and win, that want to go out and rip people's heads off, the old-fashioned Ravens way. So yeah, I was not too happy the first day of the draft, but I'm starting to see things shape out. And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? We do have the rest of the draft to go. I'm not for certain of what's going to be left out there because, once again, we have a wait and see approach as an organization, and all the good players are probably going to be gone. But as far as offense goes, there are still a couple of guys out there that Eric DeCosta and the Ravens can actually go and get. You still have Jedrick Wills out there. You still have Andrews Pete, Brandon Sheriff, and the guy that I've been campaigning for the last 3 seasons in Dalton Risner. So there's still an opportunity for the Ravens to draft another tackle or guard and still go out in free agency and pick up somebody on the cheap. This maybe, quite possibly, could turn out to be the second best draft of Eric DeCosta's career. I may have jumped the gun last night.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
But I said that I was going to rock with him for this offseason. I said that I was going to see it through, and I'm going to reserve judgment until it is all complete. Until this roster is down to the 53 man, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm still not happy about the safety. I get the pick. He's a great guy. Everybody wants to talk about value. Yes, value. Great value for that pick. And let's just hope that everything else comes into play. Now, we've 3 picks down. We don't need to draft 8 more. Package some guys, move up in the 4th, get another 4th round pick. Jump up and get the guys that we need, get the guys that you want. Don't sit back and wait. This wait and see approach has not worked well for us. And I've said this before, we have waited and guys have jumped right in front of us and taken the guys that we wanted. For years, this has happened to us, and you would have thought that we would have learned our lesson by now, but apparently we have not. So tomorrow, day 3 of the draft, let's see what the Ravens and Eric DeCosta have up their sleeve. Hopefully anything they can do to build around Lamar Jackson, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little dejected early, especially when I saw a tweet that said the Ravens are building around Kyle Hamilton before they're building around Lamar Jackson. And I thought it was kind of funny, but it kind of pissed me off at the same token. But so far, this is a very solid draft. Hopefully we can keep it going. Hopefully we just don't decide, you know what, we've taken that one offensive piece, let's just go all in on the defense for the rest of it. And maybe now, because the Ravens have gone out and taken a player with a checkered past, that means that Justin Tucker's going to stick around, and the Ravens are going to continue the theme of not picking a kicker in a draft throughout this organization's entire history. And on another note, I'm seeing what Mike McDonald's doing over there in Seattle. He's trying to build the Baltimore Ravens West. We see you go out in the draft and get your Kyle Hamilton, and then you just drafted your Lamar Jackson. You ain't slick. We know what you're doing out there. You're trying to emulate what the Ravens are doing here out there in Seattle, but it ain't gonna work, buddy. It's only one Lamar Jackson. It's only one Kyle Hamilton. But let's just see what happens tomorrow. Let's hope that the Ravens can solidify this roster. Let's hope that the Ravens can overcome what has ailed us for the past 7 seasons and finally get over this hump and make it to a Super Bowl, because we as a fan base have been waiting long enough.